Okay, perfect. So here we go. Brendan Wall here with another edition of Film Talk. I'm here with Artie Smith, one half of the make sure I'm saying this right. The MansA Mojo Brothers, is that right?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, perfect. And more so to promote newest film that you've got out right now called Lillians Brood. So right off the bat, just let us know how we can get how people can get access to the movie, and just tell us a little bit about the plot and how. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Well, Lillians Brood is actually currently available on iTunes and Amazon VOD. So you could go on there and you could rent the movie, stream the movie, or download the movie. And you can also follow us on social media on Facebook, www.facebook.com/LilliansBroodMovie, Twitter.com/LilliansBrood, Instagram.com/LilliansBrood. We're all over the place at the moment. And the movie's about a new media news coverage team that gets stranded in the middle of nowhere near a beleaguered brothel. And recovered footage shows what happens when they encounter a group of women with a terrifying secret. And the secret will be revealed once they encounter them. And these creatures these women are creatures, but less of a supernatural sense, but creatures that have been living along mankind since the dawn of Homo sapiens, or humans as we know it.
Okay, yeah, no, I did get a chance to actually check out the film, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. I gotta say, it's really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Now you'd say it's a found footage style of film. Would you say that?
Yeah, it's a found footage style film. We try to thread that, walk the fine line of cinematic and keeping it realistically found footage. That's why there's certain, just the way it looks and the way the camera moves. But it's a found footage POV style movie. True and true.
And I gotta say, in comparison to a lot of other found footage movies, I found this to be, I don't know, like I enjoy the genre, but there seems to be some found footage movies a little hard to follow. But I like the way you kind of used, not security camera, but you had cameras set up like kind of static cameras, and you had chest cameras. It was very it was innovative. I like the way you use the different types of different techniques within the found footage genre.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's something that we definitely toiled a lot over, just to make sure that we can give the audience different POVs and different storylines, almost like a regular narrative movie, but still keep it within the realm of found footage.
Now, I'm sure having made a found footage movie, you've seen a lot of them.
Yes.
Do you have any in particular that stood out as like an inspiration to make this kind of movie?
I would say VHS. The VHSs, I really dug those, and those are newer. But I've been a fan of the Paranormal Activity, line. But my favorite one of Paranormal Activity has been the marked ones, just because the characters that I felt in that movie, they just felt so real, which definitely gave us inspiration to making our characters just feel as real and as homely as possible, if you know what I mean. But with VHS, with the different shorts, seeing different people's take on how to do found footage kind of helped us streamline our ideas or really develop our ideas, because our idea was originally just a POV movie, kind of like an Into the Void type of thing. But as we were developing the story, we wanted to kind of just immerse people in these different worlds and these different stories, but keep it real. So then, in that sense, we thought we knew the found footage style will still keep it POV, but then we could tell it from several people's POVs rather, and in the style of where they have the way they have the cameras placed in them as hidden cameras, it would also give a sense, people a sense of these different motions, these different evolutions, and these different backgrounds, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I was going to say too, the switching back from camera to camera, it feels more natural. Like sometimes I watch a film like this and it doesn't feel like it's like, oh, why would the camera be there? Why would the camera be there? It's very easily, it's reasoned out at the beginning of the movie, pretty much. Yeah. They all have cameras. There's a reason for that. It's not just, oh, everyone happens to have a camera. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So your directing and co-writing partner, P.W. Simon, is that right?
Yeah.
Does he go? What's his first name?
His name is Philip. His middle name is W, so that's why we call him P.W. But we call him Phil most of the time. So.
Okay. So how did you guys start out working together?
Well, me and Phil actually met when we first moved out here to Los Angeles in 2013, and we just kind of and it kind of we didn't waste any time. He just kind of one day we met. He invited me over to talk to me about this idea in a sense, and it was a different idea when we first talked about it. It was just about a female creature, succubus of a type that kind of was preying on men or taking advantage of men, and I thought it was cool because it was a different take on the story rather than it being like a male like a Michael Myers or Jason to killing all of these people or women. It's more of a woman creature that's kind of overpowering everything, but then or everyone rather all of these males. And we started developing the story more, fell into and stumbled upon the Jewish mysticism mythology of the Lilith, Mother Lilith, who is the first wife of Adam, who was kicked out of the Garden of Eden, and then mated with the Archangel Samuel, who is Lucifer. And out of their union, they had these Lilins, which is hence where we get the first name out of our title from. And these Lilins, they're beautiful creatures. They're basically succubuses. They're most beautiful women you see, but then they have deformities. So it's like maybe she has a clawed foot or a clawed tail or a clawed hand, but she's still the most beautiful woman you see. But then these things are kind of hitting out of your line of sight. And from there, we developed our story and our world around that. Instead of just making them just become supernatural beings, just like how, a lot of people derive themselves from the origins of Adam. We say these women did derive just from a different lineage that's grown up alongside us, in a sense.
Okay. Now, two people working on the same project, this always comes up, so I'm just going to ask, did both of you kind of have the same interest in the same kind of genre, or did you kind of, before you started making the film, like, were you both kind of into this sort of film?
Yeah, actually, me, I would say I was 50-50. I would say Phil probably was a little bit more than me, but then okay. I've always been interested in the genre. I just, I was just I dabbled in the drama, the comedy, and once he presented this idea to me, it was like almost a no-brainer. Like I was like, this is cool. I like it. It's a dope story. Let's develop this more. Let's work with it for real.
So how long? So once you came up with the idea, how long would you say it went from idea to finished product?
So from idea to finished product. Well, we started this whole process in November of 2013, and we, going through the whole process of rewriting and writing different stories, and then budget affecting different things, and writing 4 different stories for the same type of world, and we ended up wrapping, I guess, post-production in June of 2015.
Okay.
So that was about like a 2-year process.
Yeah, I think it's important to stress because a lot of people don't know independent filmmaking, especially if you're making a feature. Mm-hmm. It's a lengthy process.
Yeah, definitely. And we planned everything so meticulously that it definitely, it helped when we got to production, but it definitely took time doing that as well.
Yeah, and I imagine, and like with a limited budget, you also have to plot out very specifically when you want to get stuff done because
exactly.
You fall behind, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Were there any like major production woes when you were making the movie? Anything that set you back? Anything that would maybe was took longer than you expected, or?
There were certain things that were happening on our set. I guess with certain hiccups with our makeup. That kind of held back certain days or kind of threw things off, teeth not sticking in or claws not staying, or nails not staying on and things like that. So like those type of things kind of were a bit of a hindrance. And then, on the day of not knowing if we would get our outside locations it's 2 days before we have to go to our outside to the woods locations, and we don't even have those locked in yet, things like that. But all in all, it all worked out. So I can't stay hung up on that.
Yeah, it's worth the struggle in the end, right?
Exactly.
Now, for the people that were in the film, were most of them friends or friends of friends, or was there a lot of outside people that you went and got for through the audition process?
Yeah, almost all of them except for Melinda. All of them. Melinda did audition, but I've actually worked with Melinda before. On another project, but all the other actors, they came through an audition process, and And, they're all professional actors. They've been around the block a little bit. Martin now is, doing Magnificent Seven and stuff and things of that sort. Most of the crew, I wouldn't say most of the crew, but a big piece of the crew were people that we knew, rather.
Okay.
Our friends.
Yeah, I feel like if you're starting out, that's probably the easiest way to start, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is having people you know and you've worked with before, and it saves a lot of headache.
Exactly.
Now, what about the distribution process, like finding an actual distributor and all that stuff?
Well, it was a long process, but we eventually ended up figuring it out. Because going through the different, we fielded so many offers or different offers, but then ultimately just went with the offer that worked best for us, I guess, in a sense. And it worked out in a way where now we're seeing some positive flow or some positive feedback coming to the movie that, we kind of are now more hands-on within the distribution process and kind of controlling the distribution process a lot more than some of the other people we were talking to or working with. Okay.
Now, you have some. This was your first feature-length film that you worked on. Is that right, or at least that you co-wrote and co-directed?
Yes.
Okay. First one that you worked on in general?
Mm-hmm. I mean, first one I worked on as a director or as a producer, and as a writer.
Okay. And then I noticed that you had some other, you worked on some other shorts before that. Do you want to maybe go into that a little bit, like the shorts that you worked on before Lillians Brood, maybe how that got you kind of prepared to work on the feature?
Yeah, for sure. Like the shorts, there was a bunch of shorts that we worked on. There was one that I kind of did like an experimental short. It's called Hallucinations, and it was a non-dialogue piece shot on the Universal backlot, and it just was, just a woman who took a psychotropic drug and then she starts hallucinating on her way home. You start to see weird and horrific things. So that was my first like little directorial / writing type of debut. And I edited that piece a bit. We also worked on, Phil and I, I'm Sorry, Samantha, which is a piece that he co-directed with William Stanford Davis, and he wrote. And we kind of just, that's about basically a couple from New Orleans who feel displaced in the new town that they're in, and the husband who misses home, wants to go home, but his wife is trying to convince him that going home is the wrong option. Ain't That a Trip is a short that I directed and wrote and produced along with Phil. Me and Phil produced it, and that's about just a kid who's come home from college, who wants to go on this trip overseas, but then his mother fallen into some financial problems. So now he's stuck with a decision to he's stuck with making a decision whether to help his mother with her financial issues or to leave and go on his trip. And that requires the sacrifice of his money to help his mother, rather. And then we've done some other things like with the Lilin proof of concept that we shot and pushed out to help us raise financing for Lillians Brood, in a sense. And at that time when we shot that proof of concept, we were going strictly off of the POV idea that we were going with, like the Into the Void type of thing. But then, from that process on, we started developing more into like found footage of multiple POVs and multiple storylines. And, and then you see with the product that you have now, Lillians Brood, that's what we ended up with.
Yeah, so quite a lot of changes from concept to finished product, then you'd say.
Exactly, and working on the shorter projects really did help us develop at least an aptitude for working on the feature. I mean, obviously the feature is different because it's longer, and we were very ambitious, so we had a lot of moving parts. But just being able to get work on that ebb and flow on different shorts and just understand how it works and how it moves, it helped us better prepare ourselves to prepare for things that we couldn't expect, but we knew that, all right, we experienced these problems on a short film, so amplify that by 10 on a feature. Prepare for that. Let's prepare on how to tackle those issues that we can't foresee.
Well, I forgot to mention this earlier, but I was going to say, yeah, there are a couple scenes where there's stuff going on in the background while there's things going on in the foreground. It's all timed so meticulously, so I can't even imagine how long it took you guys to get stuff like that.
Yeah, it was definitely in those days. Once you got those shots down, it felt like, man, you just won the lotto. And we did a few of those, so Cool.
Oh yeah, and it's definitely noticeable, and I just like, wow, how many takes did that take?
Ironically, some of those, like, even though we took a lot of those some of those takes did take, we took many of those, we took a lot of takes of some of those scenes. Some of those scenes didn't actually take as long as we would have thought shooting, because a lot of, especially our main actors, they were just on point with what they needed to say, what they needed to do, how they needed to move. Even if they had the ad-lib, they were just kind of on point and on cue and knew how to kind of maneuver through the scenes. Very professional, I would say.
Oh, that's good. That's always good to have. So just before we come to the end here, I'm just going to ask, do you have anything you want to talk about that's coming out, or anything you're working on right now?
Well, besides Lillians Brood that's out now on iTunes, Amazon, anybody who's listening, go get it. Tell us what you think. We have a Lillians Brood Part 2, which takes place in the same world that we've already written up, and we're actually still manipulating that a bit, and that's ready to shoot. We're ready to actually take that out and get that done and shoot that. We have a survival thriller we've been working on. We think that's going to be a pretty good story, a pretty fun ride. We've been writing, and we work just not in horror. We work in different genres as well. So we have like a dark comedy we've been working on. We have stuff in science fiction we've already written up, historical biopic that we would like to do, and obviously drama and action. Those two combined, that we've got something in development. Everything is kind of in the various stages of treatment to script. So we have about a few completed scripts and a few treatments we already have on the table ready to go.
Awesome. All right. Well, I want to thank you for joining me here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's no problem. Pleasure's mine. So you can get Lillians Brood on Amazon VOD, iTunes, and if you want, I'll put the address right below the video here so people can check that out.
Definitely.
And MansA Mojo Brothers, Artie Smith. It's just sorry you can get Phil on the line, but that's all right.
Yeah. I had to attend to some important things, so sorry about that.
That's all good. Certainly, I just wanted to mention his name, so he got the 50% of the credit here.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, like I said, I want to thank you for joining me, and good luck in your continued in your career. Good luck.
Thank you, and you have a good one as well, Brendan.
Thank you very much. Have a good one, man.
All right.